Good morning, everyone, or good afternoon, or good evening. Anything that I say is not meant to diagnose, treat, mitigate, prevent any medical condition. So check with your doctor before implementing any things we're going to talk about. And I just like to just dive right in. Steve, looks like we have a huge lineup of people. Let's get to as many questions as we can.
Okay, we sure can, and this is for others in the audience. Joaquin was in the green room last week and got cut off because of the vagaries of the various systems in the internet. So we've got him back on this week. He's also outside of work, snuck out to his car, looks great, and is going to ask us one question in 30 seconds. And to the other people, by the way, that's happened to, we urge you to write into drberg.com, and we'll make sure you eventually get on the air. In the meantime, Joaquin, welcome to the show. Go ahead with your one question with Dr. Berg.
Thanks, Steve, and thanks, Dr. Berg, for having me. So last month I had a severe ulcerative colitis flare-up, and they put me on infliximab and a prednisone taper. And so basically after that, my blood work started to read that I had 2 liver enzymes that were very high, AST and ALT. And I was wondering if you think that I could take the liver cleanse detox that you have to be able to kind of get that in order, or if there's another way to do that that would be better.
So is there is a lot of the inflammation that they detected in your stomach, the small intestine, or the large intestine? Do they tell you?
So they said large intestine towards the end of the track, actually.
So I think probably the most important thing to do is to get you on the right eating plan right off the bat, which would be the carnivore diet, because what happens, we want to get rid of the inflammation. We want to calm down the fire as the most important thing. And I think the medications obviously have a side effect of messing with your liver. So I would work with your doctor to see if that's the right choice. In the meantime, I think the liver detox product that I have could help to kind of protect the liver, because there's certain ingredients that are liver supportive, so it can be a protective thing for the liver. But I think the most important thing is to go on a carnivore just to kind of heal the gut. It's high in glutamine, which will provide the anti-inflammatory effect and support any leaky gut going on. That's what I would do. The other thing is that is just kind of go back to my videos on that topic, just so you can get more knowledge about the area and make sure that you understand all the different causes, so you can now going forward prevent it from coming back once you get it corrected.
All right. Thanks, Dr. Berg. Appreciate it.
Sure.
Great call, Joaquin. And once again, just to everyone out there, I know how annoying it can be when you sign up and take your time. We value your time, and then don't go on the air. A couple things just to address. First of all, we have a maximum amount of spots available, and yes, we do overbook a little bit because many times people's cameras aren't working, or this, that, and the other. So we want to make sure. But any of you, in fact, that happened today to a couple, and you know who you are. We'd ask that you write back in, and we're going to put you back to the top of the queue until you finally get on the air with us. So we certainly don't ignore you. And we don't ignore our quiz questions. And here is the first one for the day, Dr. Berg.
All right. So if you have early morning insomnia, where let's say you get up a little too early and you can't get back to bed, which mineral are you mostly missing in your diet?
Sorry, Doc. Let me get your shot back here. All right. So climb on that, audience. And now let's head over to social media. And Hayden from YouTube, which supplements should someone on birth control meds be taking?
Well, the birth control pills do deplete things. They create issues. They could create issues with your bile. And so I think I wouldn't necessarily take a vitamin while you're taking that. I would just kind of see if you're deficient in anything, because if your diet is the healthy version of the ketogenic diet, then you're probably going to be okay. But I will say that one issue that I've seen in the past with birth control pills is that that messes with the gallbladder, and sometimes then you can't absorb from the diet the fat soluble nutrients like the vitamin A, D, E, K1, K2. So if you notice problems with that, especially let's say you're driving at night, it's hard to see in the dark because that's like a real easy one, like vitamin A deficiency, then chances are instead of taking vitamin A, maybe you just take some bile salts after you eat, and that might help you. But yeah, that's what I would do. And just make sure you reevaluate what you're eating so you can get all those nutrients.
That's terrific. And in addition to our green room participants, Candace, Dee, Joaquin, and Curtis, we have others that are joining us from around the world, and they are as follows. We'd like to give you all a warm welcome to the UK, Canada, Mexico, Switzerland, India, Poland, Romania, Germany, Italy, Greece, Jordan, South Africa, Pakistan, the Philippines, Eritrea, Nigeria, Norway, Australia, Belgium, Chile, the Virgin Islands, Oman, Palestine, Scotland, Taiwan, Spain, Egypt, France, Argentina, Uzbekistan, Sweden, the Bahamas, Liechtenstein, Jamaica, Bangladesh, Morocco, Ukraine, Portugal, Ireland, Brunei, South Korea, Saudi Arabia, Japan, Israel, Zambia, Colombia, the Netherlands, Trinidad and Tobago, Ethiopia, Iran, Nepal, the Czech Republic, and once again, all across these United States. Thanks for everybody for joining us around the world in the pursuit of a great, healthy life, and many are achieving that. So let's see, let's go. By the way, I also didn't announce today, we are safely on Rumble. We are broadcasting, it's showing up over there. So we urge all of the YouTube patrons, and again, we're appreciative to be on YouTube and on Facebook, but it's a good idea because of some of the sort of regulations that are popping up that you always find Dr. Berg. And the way to do that is go over to Rumble and, make sure you see what the show is. And is there a register? What's going on Rumble with that? Do they follow, or what's the routine?
You just subscribe. You press subscribe and you're good to go.
Okay, that's great. So you will never miss anything from Dr. Berg. In fact, you will gain more from him because there are no censorship rules over there. Rumble's allowing people to make decisions for themselves, and urge that way you can research the traditional medical stuff and all the alternatives that cumulatively make us and keep us all healthy, we hope. Okay. Brenda from YouTube, I started taking the nutritional yeast by crushing up 7 tablets into my electrolyte water. I felt great, but now after 3 days, I'm constipated. Any suggestions?
I highly doubt that that's causing constipation. I would look at something else because nutritional yeast it won't constipate. It's just a very small amount of something. There's not enough calories to constipate, but I would look at other things that you maybe change in your diet. And it could possibly be too much salad or too much greens for some people. Other people, it's not enough greens. So I would look at anything out of the ordinary that you added to this mix. I mean, even the electrolyte powder, as well as B1, actually is known to get rid of constipation. That being said, one of the interesting things about constipation is that you can also be constipated from having not enough bile salts. And if you have too much bile salts, you can have diarrhea. So on quite a few people, I noticed that you give them a little bile salts after they eat. And then now they're actually they're able to go very nicely. So that's just as a side note, but watch my videos on constipation because there's many different reasons.
All right, very good. The audience, as always, has leapt on the first question, which asks, if you have early morning insomnia, which mineral are you most likely missing? And 66% of our respondents say it's magnesium, 24% say it's potassium, 5% say selenium, and the final 5 say it's B12. Okay,
the answer is magnesium. Magnesium. Now you might say, well, it's easy to get magnesium. It's more difficult than you might think because the dark leafy green vegetables, that would be like kale, Swiss chard, and especially spinach, have a good amount of potassium, but they also have a good amount of oxalates, which can create issues with people that are sensitive, like even arthritis, even kidney stones, or a risk to kidney stones. So but you can easily overcompensate by adding a little cheese to that spinach. But kale and Swiss chard doesn't necessarily have as much oxalates. Also, you can get it from chocolate, but of course you have to watch the sugar. But chocolate also has oxalates, so have your cheese with your chocolate. And then also it's in almonds, but almonds are also high in oxalates. So, you want to do the best you can. Yes, it is true that magnesium is in a lot of different products, but you should just do the math sometime and try to see how much magnesium you're actually getting from the foods that you're eating. You're going to be probably quite shocked to find out that you're low. And this is why you may need to have a supplement. I recommend magnesium glycinate, and have that. It doesn't necessarily have to be right before bed, but I think you're going to find that actually you'll sleep in better, and you'll just feel like especially your muscles will just feel relaxed. You'll sleep longer, and it tends to lower cortisol too. So, and 45% of the population is deficient in magnesium. So, and on top of that, vitamin D is dependent on magnesium. So you can't even convert the active form of vitamin D without magnesium. So it's a really important mineral. I did a video on it, and it went viral recently. So if you wanted to see that video, watch it. It's called, "What is the first symptom of a magnesium deficiency?"
All right, very good. We go to Rumble. Good morning, and this person is using a bit of scripture to identify himself. Ephesians 4:10 from Rumble. I love Mexican food, but how can I do it on healthy keto? Good question. I'm 70 years young and loving your supplements. Thank you, Dr. Berg.
Well, if you go to actual Mexico, they have some seriously high quality food, and you can do keto, but you just have to do it without the corn tortillas and the other wheat type products. So you have your guacamole. You can do maybe some almond tortillas and things like that. But I think with all the different sauces and things, and without the rice and the beans, I think you can do it. In fact, if you go to my YouTube channel and then look for other channels, I have a recipe channel, and there's quite a few recipes there you can check out, which will make keto delicious. But yes, you can do it. You just have to understand what's on the okay list and what's on the not okay list.
All right, very good. Well, speaking of the green room, Curtis from Hampton, Virginia, popped off because of one of the vagaries of the system, and he's back on. I want to make sure we don't lose him. So make sure you're unmuted, Curtis, and go ahead with your terrific and captivating one question that you will belt out in 30 seconds. Welcome to the show.
Okay. Hello, Dr. Berg. Thank you.
Hi, how are you?
All right. My question is about fruit. Of course, I love fruit, and I've been watching you since February. My question is it the sugar content that you're concerned about in fruit concerning keto, or do you consider fruit not being really healthy for the body because of the sugar content?
It's definitely better than high fructose corn syrup and these other sugars, but there is a bit more sugar in fruit. Now you might say, well, it's natural. Yes, it does have fiber. It does have phytonutrients. Absolutely. But on the flip side, a great majority of the population has metabolic issues. They have insulin resistance, in which case they don't do as well. In fact, I just gave up apples when I was, years ago. I gave up apples, and I went from 111 pounds of pure muscle, and I'm being sarcastic, to 185, pretty A to B from just those apples. And that has to do with the how they did hybrids with fruit. Long ago, we didn't have this sweet fruit like we have now. I mean, Honeycrisp apple is just like eating candy. So even the bananas, they've been hybrids for more carbohydrate. That's really the big problem. And also, fruit typically comes seasonal, right? Not all year round. Well, and you could have it all year round. So I'm not saying I'm against it, but I would just say if you have metabolic syndrome, you might have to not do fruit. You can do some berries. Like even on my property, there's some indigenous apple and pear trees. There's a pear tree that these pears are not even sweet at all. So like that might be okay. I haven't tested the sugar content, but The bottom line is you might want to just test it out on your body, see how you do. Do you feel better? Are you trying to solve a problem health-wise, and play around with it to see if it works out for you? Will you do better or worse on it?
Okay.
And it is hard to get on keto because the carbs are a bit high on that. So especially like an apple is like 19 grams of carbs. So you can imagine if you're on keto, you can easily knock yourself out.
True. Okay. Understood. Thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
Sure. No problem.
I tell you what, this group of Green Room participants is knocking it out of the park with their succinct questions, intelligent process. So anyway, thank you all very much. And Curtis, I'm glad we were able to get you back and get you on the air. And you just hang around there, Curtis, and you can enjoy the rest of the show from right where you're at. Let's see. Here's another interesting name. We'd like to hear from BH2366 on Rumble. What an interesting name. What's the best way to naturally address non-Hodgkin's lymphoma? Is the same protocols we should follow with other types of cancer? And again, not replacing his medical care.
Well, it's one of those things where I can't have any more videos on YouTube about that. Well, I can, but you have to be within their guidelines. But I think if you go to Rumble and you search those videos, I have the protocols that you can research, so you could see what we're talking about. There is some really interesting things about cancer that I will say right off the bat. They don't have it figured out. Okay, they have a lot of theories out there, and they don't know. They don't know, even though they might sound like even the general medical consensus is blah blah blah, but they don't. It's not known yet. But there's some fascinating new theories coming up that make a lot of sense, that have to do with cancer being connected to fungus. Because if you take a look at inside a tumor, for example, they recently found out it's not sterile. There's microbes in there, which is interesting, which could explain a lot of these wild variables that just don't make sense. I won't get too much into it, but the point is I would search on Rumble, not YouTube, on the protocols that may be worth doing your research to see if it can work for you.
Boy, it is so exciting to be on Rumble. We are now bulletproof in the service of our various viewers and those that have found a better life with Dr. Berg. So you can find whatever answer you want one way or the other. Let's go back to Rumble again. Let's see, Ethan loves keto. He's from Rumble. I started on keto on October 1, and it feels like I've always been on it, and I love it. Was always bloated badly on veggies, so I cut them out. How long should it be before I reintroduce vegetables?
Well, I think the type of keto I recommend is starting out with vegetables. You're doing vegetables. You're doing a combination of vegetables and meats. So you should start immediately. But I thought you were going to ask me something else. How long do I have to be on this before I can go back to my original diet? As long as you want to get well. But there's a new diet that they are trying to push on us all. It's called the planetary health diet, which you can have 1.5 ounces of meat per day. I think you have a fourth of an egg a day, or you can have a little piece of one bacon strip per day for your protein, because they want to get rid of all these dangerous, animal products. But you can have 800 of your calories can be grains. Okay. And you can have 7.5 teaspoons of sugar. And I'm not kidding. This is the diet that they want to, it's called the Eat Lancet diet that they want to put everyone on. So I'm sure we're looking forward to some great new things coming up. I think it's actually not going to happen, because when I went to the butcher's, this organic butcher's place, and there was a line that wrapped around the entire store. It's going to be really hard for people to give up their meat and start eating these other foods. And even if they do, you're going to see some major health problems because people don't do well on these grains, 800 calories of grains, and they don't do well on sugar. And you're going to create nutritional deficiencies. So so it's not going to work, basically.
Well, and a simple way to describe that diet is just a big pitcher of Kool-Aid with plenty of sugar, and you're on the road to health. So I'm sure you'll feel terrific.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It'll work. It'll work.
Bound to. Something's going to happen. Okay, JS Fuji, if I said that right, from Rumble again. What are your thoughts about drinking bulletproof coffee? He didn't mention whether he puts any cream or anything, but anyway.
I think it's fine. I think it's fine. The only thing when you do the bulletproof coffee where you're adding like butter or MCT oil to your coffee is that realize it's good to do that when you start out. But if you're trying to lose weight, you may find that fat could be used as fuel more than your own fat, which means it could slow down your ability to lose weight because you're giving your body extra fuel to live off. Ideally, it'd be nice to have you live off your own fat. And in which case, once you get adapted, maybe you want to not consume these extra fats that aren't really part of your protein. But if you don't have a weight problem, I think it's a great thing, especially for the brain. You might find your cognitive improvements improve, as well as your physical energy from your exercise improves as well, because your body starts using especially the MCT oil for energy. You'll have a lot of energy.
Okay, very good. Now, our producer, Terry, keeps me on a very short leash in terms of keeping the show moving. And so I'm putting up the question before he scolded me for it. This is the second question. So take that, Terry. I remembered. And Doc, there's our true-falser.
Okay, true or false? The average American consumes 45 gallons, 170 liters of soda per year.
Wow, is that true, audience? We'll find out. Let's see. Midzi from Facebook, will eating more protein possibly cause microbuliminuria? Oh, God, I should have read that before. Microbuliminuria. Does that ring a bell? Have you ever had that, Doc? Sorry. See, sometimes I read these questions not all the way through, and then I get stuck.
Yeah, remember we talked about that, Steve, like when it gets a very specific medical question. So,
yeah.
But I think here's the thing. If you eat too much protein, it's going to create like maybe some waste products in the urine, like ammonia or certain types of problems for the kidney. The answer is no, it's not. But that being said, you may find that if you already have existing kidney damage, the ability to tolerate extra protein might not be there. So in which case you want to do maybe moderate amounts of protein, not too high. But I will say on the flip side, if you start going on a low protein diet, low animal protein or whatever, you're more susceptible to having deficiencies of protein, which is very damaging to your body. So everyone's focused, too much protein. Yeah, but what about if you have not enough amino acids? You create a worse problem. So I would just recommend doing moderate amounts of protein, and you don't have to worry about anything.
All right. Well, I tell you what, can you believe how fast the audience got back to our question? We just asked. The average American consumes 45 gallons or 170 liters of soda per year. And 95% of our respondents say it's true, and 5% say, how could you do such a thing? It's false.
It's absolutely true. It used to be 58 gallons, but now it's 48 gallons. And also, do you know how much water? Steve, you know how much water someone consumes? 58 gallons. So just a little bit more.
Wow.
So someone's drinking a lot of soda. And I know soda is hydrating. And some of these beverage companies, they're definitely supporting the anti-obesity movements, which is kind of ironic because like this soda is just so so much sugar and without the nutrients. So you're creating a situation that is really going to put your body in especially your liver, in a state of danger when you add that much. And I know growing up, we used to get cases of soda at different parties and didn't even think twice. But of course, that sugar was sugar cane. It wasn't the high fructose corn syrup they have now. But yeah, a lot of people are drinking a tremendous amount of soda without even thinking twice. And then on top of that, if you're adding a burger with fries to that soda, unbelievable how you even survive that. That's a lot of problems for your kidneys, your eyes, your arteries, and your nerves.
Wow. That meal you described, I think, is a number 3. You get all the ingredients there. By the way, just to confirm, is that sugar soda, not diet, or does it matter? The 45 or however many gallons.
Yeah, I'm talking about the typical high fructose corn syrup sweetened.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about the diet sodas. That's a different question.
Yeah. All right. Well, maybe we'll see that soon. Tanya from Facebook, are apple cider vinegar pills just as good as drinking it?
That's one of the questions. That is the last question. We're going to get to that.
Well,
so
okay,
let me
let's
just
hold
wait
on.
on that question.
Isn't that something? Serendipity. Okay, let's move on. Tracy from YouTube, what dietary recommendations would you offer for a teenager?
I would recommend the same diet as an adult. However, I would probably, depending on the situation, make sure that you're doing the 3 meals, no snacks, and not necessarily like 2 meals unless you have a weight problem, and definitely not 1 meal, because children or teenagers, as they're developing, we have to really make sure they have enough calories as well as enough nutrients in the calories. Very important. But if you did the healthy version of the ketogenic diet that I recommend and just did 3 meals like that without snacks, that would be awesome. That would actually be very healthy. In fact, I would, if I was a teenager and I knew about this, that's what I would be eating. Probably wouldn't have the acne that I had. Probably I would have more endurance, especially going through wrestling, and I would not do what I did, which is go as a lower weight class and try to starve myself. That was a big mistake.
All right, very good. Anna from YouTube, do you have recommendations on C. diff? It's a bacteria that creates diarrhea and colitis. My brother's still fighting it after a round of antibiotics.
Yeah, you have to have a more powerful probiotic to solve that issue. So I would find something that's really strong and probably double the dosage, as well as consuming on a daily basis at least 1 cup of raw sauerkraut. And then in the evening after dinner, have a cup of whole milk, plain, without sweetened kefir. If you can find the kefir from goats or sheep, that would be better than the cow's milk, but any kefir will do. That way you have your additional microbes that can help you.
All right, let's get personal now, because But Alive from YouTube, how can I fix keto tongue? Ooh, I shouldn't say that. Am I using your electrolyte solution? Oh, I am using your electrolyte solution and eating lots of veggies. What else can I be doing? I'm sorry for teasing you, But Alive. Sure, that's awful.
Yeah, I think what I would do is I would make sure for that problem, you already told me, you already kind of gave me the answer of taking enough the B vitamins and also eating the healthy version with vegetables. But I would also add, try to get your carbs down low, but also at the same time, drink more fluids and also make sure you have enough omega-3 fatty acids.
All right.
Like fish oil. I'm sorry, cod liver oil. And I consume a really good amount of cod liver oil. And I also have my trace minerals in the morning it has the zinc, and then I have magnesium as well. And then a little later, I'll do a little electrolytes and maybe the nutritional yeast. But that combination, I've never seen a problem with side effects from doing the keto if you do that.
Very good. Let's go to the equalizer, as he calls himself, from Rumble. How do you feel about stevia sweetened sodas. Speaking of sodas.
I think they're great, especially since we're on the topic of sodas. I think it's a great alternative. When you buy the Zevia or whatever they're called, the sodas, I would make sure that you read get the ones without the caffeine. So, but yeah, those are great as a substitute. I think they're awesome. So a lot of people don't know about them. They taste just like a soda, and it's flavored with stevia. There's something recently that I tried. I really like, for some reason, some people don't like it, but I like tonic water, but sugar-free. I don't know why I like that. It's like bitter. But most of it has sugar, so you have to read the ingredients. But for some reason, my body loves tonic water.
It's interesting. I like the smell of dead skunks on the road, so the thing, my family's grossed out by it. And I don't smoke pot, but I like the smell of it in the hallway. We have some neighbors that do it, and it has that same skunky smell. So I don't know whether COVID knocked out my sense of smell, but those are two things: dead skunk on the road and pot, good quality pot smoke in the hallway. For some reason, I find that great. And that's really an important topic for the show. All right.
Yeah, we need to talk later about that, okay?
Okay,
yeah.
Very good.
I do have a dead skunk on the side of the road. I'll bring it over.
That's great. All right, let's see. Let's go to the next quiz question. And our producer, Terry, said, you're bragging about getting up, but you were still 3 minutes late. And now I'm almost 3 minutes late again. So here's the next quiz question, which is quiz question number 3.
Okay, why are women 60% less likely to get cancer and 70% less likely to die from it compared to men?
That seems unfair. Let's see. Let's go to another one.
You're right. It is.
I know. I mean, gosh, ladies. Okay, Malcolm from Facebook. Will 16 hours of fasting help with histamine resistance?
You said from fasting or fasting?
I
think you said fasting.
Yeah.
I think it will. I think, there's so many things that clear up when you do like prolonged fast, even allergies. So it's kind of a nice little recovery, healing situation that can occur if you do a prolonged fast. I would try it and see what happens. I mean, so many things can change, and it's a way to shock your system into working right. Another thing that I think, if you have high histamines or even like allergies, doing those cold baths really are amazing. So I have one of those cold immersion tanks. And as much as I hate getting in there, it really makes you feel better when you get out. But it also has an interesting effect on various allergies and other problems you're running into. But it's definitely a shocker when you get in there at 50 degrees for 5 minutes.
Wow. So you're holding out for the whole 5 minutes now? We remember you sort of easing your way into it, but you can tolerate it that long.
Yeah. Yeah. I can tolerate. It's just getting used to it. You got to breathe through it though. The key is the breathing, because initially you're hyperventilating. Your body gets used to it. And then it's not that it's more comfortable. It's just that your tolerance goes up. You can tolerate it better for some reason.
Interesting. Blunts and Otters, this soul is calling themselves, from Rumble. My 63-year-old mom has hyperthyroidism. Could she safely do a week-long fast?
I don't know. I think she could. I would. But I would make sure you take the right nutrients. The thing you have to be careful about with a hyperthyroid is not to take sea kelp, not to take iodine, not to take bile salts, because those three things can increase the function of the thyroid, and you don't want to do that. I think a good thing to take would be maybe the cruciferous vegetables, but that's like when you're eating now. Because apparently that can help to some degree. But that being said, I think a prolonged fast would be a very smart thing to do.
All right, very good. Gina has an interesting question from YouTube. What are the downsides of intermittent fasting and doing extended high-intensity cardio?
Well, the negatives are that, it's freaking expensive because you have to buy all these new clothes. You lose all this weight and you start getting younger as you get older, and that's always a problem. And you said with exercise too? Exercise?
High intensity, yes.
Yeah, the effort of doing that is really a pain in the butt, but the benefits, are kind of are going to outweigh it. But I think the downside, the negative side, would be doing it incorrectly. Like if you create nutritional deficiencies, or let's say, for example, you're too thin going into this, it's difficult to do because you will lose weight. So these are all things you have to look at, and also make sure if you're not to do it if you're pregnant or lactating. But the intense exercise, if you're, and just to be serious about that, there's a really cool thing that we're going to come out with very soon. I keep saying that, right? Which is we'll measure your autonomic nervous system to determine your stress and recovery. You can actually visualize what's happening with your nervous system, so then you can know if you can handle a high intensity exercise training. And there's certain days like I can't because it's low, because I overtrained or the day before or something like that. So this would be very important to know where your ability to recover is at. Like, because if you have a poor recovery and you do a high intensity interval training, it can worsen things because you don't have the recovery to deal with it. So you're just adding more stress. It could affect your sleep. I'll give you one example. One lady came into my office when I had this testing device and measured her after an exercise bout, and she got her pulse rate up to 158. Okay. She came back the next day. Her pulse rate was still 158. It did not come down. Wow. She did not sleep. So that would be really bad for her to do a high intensity exercise training because she can't push the pulse rate down. But this is a great device that you'll be able to get, so you can do your own experiments and your own testing and do your own lab to see what works for you and where you're at. And I think it's going to be very important.
All right. Well, there's also hundreds of thousands of people like myself around the world that want to know about growing in-house. Any updates on that? Have a nice little garden in your house, or better soil, I think you talked about, instead of the hydroponic stuff. Are we any closer to that?
Yeah, we're just completing a course on how to grow amazing microgreens indoors.
Oh boy!
So that's almost done, and then we're starting a new YouTube channel on that too. We're going to show people some really great things related to how to grow your own food and the importance of the soil and what it does, and really make it simple, because there are already amazing channels out there, but sometimes either they don't explain it right, or they keep it complex, or they might, to get to the meat of the topic, you have to, it's like 45 minutes into it, and then they eventually tell you. So we're going to just have short videos to give you some great information on how to grow your own food.
Really excited about that, Doc, as I'm sure are many others. Okay, so quiz question number 3 asks, why are women, which makes me mad, 60% less likely to get cancer and 70% less likely to die from it compared to you and me, doctor? And let's find out what the audience said. 46 of them responded say it's because of the effects of testosterone. 24% of them say it's because men don't get checkups as much as women. I bet that's true. And 10% say it's because men have higher levels of stress. Yes, we're under a lot of pressure, ladies.
Well, it is true with the testosterone. It is true with the testosterone. Testosterone tends to keep the immune system a little bit weaker, but that's not the big answer. The big answer has to do with the women have 2 X chromosomes, and apparently that is correlated to a stronger immune system, where men they have this 1X and then they have a Y chromosome, which they kind of have they're not as strong with the immune system. So maybe that's their survival techniques, because women carry the baby, and they perpetuate the race through fertility and all that. But and also, I think there is an estrogen aspect too. Estrogen is a powerful antioxidant too. But so that's one advantage. On the flip side, women have a worse problem with autoimmune, worse outcome, because the immune system is apparently sometimes a little bit more sensitive to things or more overactive. And so that's another topic. But for the good thing is your risk for cancer and the risk from dying from cancer is significantly lower than men.
All right.
So this just kind of what you can do if you're a man is you can actively and aggressively get healthy so you can avoid it, so you don't have to worry about it. How about that?
Very good. Well, we're now going to prove that women are less stressful than men by going to Candace, and she looks very relaxed and will surely outlive both of us, Dr. Berg. Candace, you're on the air with your one question, 30 seconds. Go.
Good morning, Dr. Berg. I want to start off by saying thank you so much for your service, your products, and your informative videos. I was inspired to begin intermittent fasting and keto again. And my question is, without a gallbladder for 15 years and with non-alcoholic fatty disease symptoms for the last 5 years, should I take the gallbladder formula and the liver cleanse at the same time each day, or should I start with the gallbladder formula and then transition to the liver cleanse? What's your suggestion on this?
Good question. I think both of those are going to be good for you, because both of them actually will remove fat from the liver. And I'm assuming you are on the healthy version of keto, but that little bit of bile salt will actually help you have a little bit more bile to extract more fat soluble nutrients, as well as all the phytonutrients from the plants, which are from salad, which are fat soluble. So that both of those things would help you. But as far as the liver detox, there's some really great herbs in there that will help your liver in general work better. So I think you take them at the same time. You just want to make sure that you take the gallbladder one after the meal. Just take one after the meal. And I think that would be smart. And also, if you start noticing like problems with your vision at night when you're driving, that all that means is like you need more bile. So I would kind of really look at those indicators for fat soluble vitamin deficiencies to see if you're getting enough bile. Another indication, this probably is kind of, strange thing to say, but if your stool floats and it's light colored, that means that you don't have enough bile, because there's too much fat in there and it's floating. So it's a way to indirectly see if you're getting enough of that bile. One more thing, choline would be something to take, because choline directly gets rid of fat off the liver as well. So just make mental note of that.
Is that a product that you actually sell on your website, choline, or is that just a supplement?
You can just get it as a supplement. You can get something called phosphatidylcholine, I think it's called, and then or there's other types of choline too. But any of those cholines would work.
Mm-hmm. All right. Thank you very much. I appreciate it, Dr. Berg.
Sure. No problem.
Thanks for a great call, Candace, or video session. We appreciate it. We'd, as always, love to hear back, in some weeks or months as to what we hope would be the improvements in your various symptoms. Let's see. Crystal from YouTube, what are your recommendations for a diabetic who wants to start intermittent fasting? Is it even safe to do so?
Well, it's not safe to not do it. I mean, it's like sometimes people think that, wow, is it going to be bad if I start doing fasting if I'm a diabetic? Think about what's going to happen if you do that. Number one, you're not going to be stimulating the pancreas, okay? Because you're not eating, you're fasting. So you'll have less triggering of the pancreas, which will give the pancreas a chance to breathe a little bit, because the islets of Langerhans, the beta cells, have been overworked. And so you can give those a chance to be revived. The other thing is, like, you're not eating, so then your body then is forced to go after the fat fuel, ketones, and not run on sugar, which is going to automatically take a big stress off your diabetes. And what is diabetes? It's a disease of too much sugar. So if we don't eat, that would be the ultimate solution, because you're not going to add sugar to the system, and any sugar needed, your body can make it. Instead, you're running on ketones and fat. And it's the best thing for a diabetic to do that. It is not damaging at all. Even if you're a type 1 diabetic, the goal would be to take the least amount of insulin as possible. Well, what triggers insulin? Carbs. So I think, yes, you need to do it. It's not damaging. It's going to be very therapeutic to be on keto if you're diabetic.
All right, very good. Let's go ahead with quiz question number 4.
What is the primary reason why people are more overweight now than in the 50s or the 60s?
Climb on it, audience.
I'm sure there's many reasons, but what this question is specific to, what is the biggest reason? Okay. Because from this difference, see what you guys come up with.
All right. Well, I'll tell you what, FJ Lopez, 90, from Rumble, must have known what the answer was, because he has lost 115 pounds in nearly a year and wants to thank you for your advice. Thank you, Dr. Berg. So congratulations,
Wow.
Mr. Lopez, for doing a great job on that. Let's see.
That's fantastic.
Isn't that great? Here we go. So
Yeah.
Belinda from Facebook. I follow your healthy keto and intermittent fasting protocols, and I feel great. But my gallbladder sludge has gotten thicker in the process and started forming polyps. Ouch. What can I do to remove them while avoiding surgery?
I would take a product called TUDCA. And I would take 2 in the morning on an empty stomach and 2 in the afternoon on an empty stomach. What that's going to do, it's going to give you more of a nice flowing bile that's going through those little tubes. And that's what you need to actually kind of correct your situation. I think probably what happened is when people lose weight on keto and they burn fat, the fat cell has to release not just triglycerides, but cholesterol too. That's part of the fat. So as you dump more and more cholesterol through the liver and the gallbladder, boy, you might need to make sure you have enough bile to handle all that cholesterol, in which case, normally you should have it, but if you're deficient, that's when you have problems.
Okay, very good. And last but not least, in our green room, we have Dee, and Dee's camera or something is botched, so we're going to take her as a phone call. Dee, are you there?
I am here. Thank you.
Wonderful. Go ahead with your one question for Dr. Berg.
Well, Dr. Berg, first, I want to thank you for all your wisdom and all that you do for everybody. So thank you very much for that. You have helped a friend of mine, her kids, many, many years ago with some severe environmental and food allergies and rheumatoid arthritis for her 6-year-old kid that couldn't walk. Anyway, my question specifically is, what do you recommend for food allergies such as black pepper and L-casein in milk?
There's a couple of things I would do. There's when I used to have people on intermittent fasting, but really it's the prolonged fasting, periodic prolonged fasting. Like let's say every 2 weeks you do a 48-hour fast, or every month you do a 72-hour fast. I think that would go a long way with getting rid of those allergies or sensitivities or intolerances. That's one thing. The other thing that you could do is do that ice bath. I mean, it's really interesting. It helps your immune system. It stimulates the immune system because you're adding a stress. So I think the combination of both of those would be very beneficial. There's other things too. You can avoid, get on keto, but avoid those things that you're allergic to for a period of time, and then go back on them and see if that doesn't help reset things. But I think the biggest thing is the prolonged fasting situation. That's very powerful because it actually stimulates new stem cells within the immune system that then make you more tolerant of things.
I sure appreciate that, Dr. Berg. I really do. Thank you.
Sure, no problem.
All right. Well, Dee wraps it up for our green room callers, and what a great group we had today. Once again, those of you who didn't make it, please write into drberg.com, and we're going to get you a new slot until we finally get you on the air. Let's see. Quiz question number 4 asked, what is the primary reason why people are more overweight now than in the 50s and 60s? And I'm old enough to remember those days. 75% of our respondents say there's more sugars like high fructose syrups in our foods these days. 20% say that there's an overall increase of ultra-processed foods that are available, and 5% say it's because of lower levels of physical activity in an aging population. Boy, I think there's some truth in all that.
Yes, because could it be that we're just eating less saturated fat? No. Is it that we're eating, are we, smoking less? Is that doing it? No. Is it the alcohol? No, we probably still do the same amount of alcohol, but I looked at this very, very deeply, and there's many reasons. The exercise is definitely less. The high fructose corn syrup is more. That's a big one. The seed oils are more. But there's something else that I think that's going on that is contributing to this problem. And I think it has to do with the frequent eating with the snacking. And I remember growing up and parents saying, don't spoil your dinner, right? So we wouldn't have these snacks. I don't know about you, Steve. Did you have as many snacks growing up?
Well, we didn't have time for it. I'm 69, so I'm definitely Opie of Mayberry kind of kid. And we actually ate pretty crappily. So we would ride our little bicycles and go crazy. Then at noon, one nice mother would come out with an ice tray full of Kool-Aid sugar cubes, and they'd put them in a paper towel, and we'd slurp on it. That's pure sugar. Then maybe a Wonder Bread peanut butter and jelly sandwich with the crust cut off, which is probably the only good part. But we were all thin, and so we had very low caloric intake, and we burned calories all day long. So in my case, I can't say that we ate healthier, but we ate a hell of a lot less, and we exercised all day long. And here's the interesting thing. If you saw a heavy person when you were a kid, it would be like, oh my God, look. Because there was nobody on the horizon that was overweight, and you thought that poor person, what happened to them? Boy, that's the norm now.
I think, and I think if you notice, they really, everyone's pushing these mid-morning, mid-afternoon snacks, night snacks. Before you go to bed, have a snack. The snacks bring protein bars, right? It's just constantly eating 24/7. I think that's a problem. But I will say exercise is also right up there at the top as well. And I would also say the fructose. I mean, even like in the 50s, did you have liter, big gulp sodas? Did you have these large 20-ounce sodas? The answer is no. You had a 6.5-ounce one. They were very small. So we're just drinking like this, like there's just going on a style. It's pretty bad, Steve. So you want to just start a new trend and not do that.
Yeah, a good measure of that was the famous. Oh, absolutely. We had TV dinners, this little crappy aluminum tray with about a square inch worth of dessert, and then, a little chicken, little tiny potatoes. And I'm sure it wasn't all great food, but that would be an appetizer now. I mean, just getting started. So, we consider a whole meal. And I remember feeling sated. Oh boy, that was great. And then you go leap around outside like a little kid. Anyway, let's go to our final quiz question of the day. And we did address this earlier in one of the questions, and you, with great discipline, held off the answer until we asked this question, and here it is.
True or false? Those keto apple cider vinegar gummies can help you lose weight.
All right, climb on that, audience. Let's see, Joanna from YouTube, what are your thoughts on using a high fiber diet to address high cholesterol levels and heart disease?
I think I wouldn't necessarily just go after the fiber. I would just consume a healthy version of keto, which is like 7 to 10 cups of salad. Get your fiber from your salad. That will help your cholesterol for sure. But it's not just about the fiber, because so many people are doing these plant-based shakes and fiber and the new functional fibers. That's like tapioca fiber and soluble cornstarch fiber and all these different fibers. And they're thinking, oh yeah, or oatmeal. And they're thinking, oh yeah, this is going to help my cholesterol. Well, the problem is we haven't tested those new things yet. And there's a lot of carbohydrates in them, but there's not a lot of carbohydrates in celery. I'm sorry, like compared to other things. Yes, there's carbohydrates, but not a lot of sugars. So there's a huge amount of fiber in celery. So Steve, I think it'd be a really good experiment to see how many stalks of celery you would have to eat to gain fat.
Well, that's all I eat, doctor. You know my discipline.
Carbohydrates.
Yeah, that's all I eat is
Yeah,
celery.
I know. Well, that's all you eat, but because I saw your diet. But yeah, I think I'm talking about other people.
Oh yeah, the weak ones. I know them. Anyway,
Yeah,
there's
exactly
nothing.
the people that don't have willpower.
That's right. Well, there's nothing weak about our audience in terms of answering questions. I just threw out quiz question number 5, the final one, which was a true falser. Keto ACV gummies can help you lose weight. And 92% of the audience say it's false. That's disappointing. 8% say it's true.
It's false, false, false. Don't waste your money. I'll give you an example. One serving size of these gummies is a little more than a teaspoon of sugar. A whole bottle is 30 teaspoons of sugar. It's just pure sugar. The first ingredient, the second ingredient, the third ingredient it's like glucose syrup, corn syrup, cane sugar. I mean, like, it's just made from sugar. This is not a keto thing. I don't know how they can legally call it keto, but there's no legal definition. And then the amount of apple cider vinegar that's in there, Steve, it's like maybe 7 drops. If you take an average serving of apple cider vinegar, which is 1 tablespoon, that's 15 grams, right? So in 1 serving of gummies, it's 500 milligrams. So 1 bottle would be equivalent to 1 tablespoon of that apple cider vinegar that you could buy very inexpensively at the store and add that to the water. It is a scam. A lot of people are falling for it. It doesn't work. Look at the reviews. It's just terrible. And you're just eating candy. It should be in the candy section. On that note, Steve, I got the hint there. I want to just thank everyone for listening in and your wonderful questions and your attention. Stay tuned for more great content this next week that's going to be released on YouTube and other social media like Rumble. Have a good one.